أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين وهو خير ناصر ومعين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. أما بعد, my respected elders, my dearest youngsters, brothers and sisters in Iman, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You can tell what kind of Shia or follower of Imam Hussein alayhi salam you are by sincerely evaluating and assessing and diligently observing your approach and your attitude and frame of mind post Arbaeen to the mission of Imam Abu Abdullah al-Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salam and his legacy. What is your approach and frame of mind to the mission of Imam Hussein alayhi salam after the traditional days of mourning are over? If you are a traditional Shia, and by traditional here we mean the kind of Shia who subscribes to what Dr. Ali Shariati used to refer to as black Shi'ism, which is basically Safavid Shi'ism. It's the inherited baggage of the Safavid period of history. Safavid black Shi'ism is a passive-aggressive, passive mourning-centric Shi'ism, which believes that the only appropriate response to the tragedy of Karbala and to the oppression that befell the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, the only appropriate response that's required of us in the face of such an earth-shattering event is mourning and more of mourning. Basically, the response of black Shi'ism starts with mourning and ends at mourning, and reduces the whole reaction of the Shia and their response to the tragedy of Karbala, it reduces it to mourning. As in, that is the ultimate goal, and that is the hadaf, that is the objective, that is the mission, that is everything. And so naturally, if you follow this kind of Shi'ism, once the traditional prescribed mourning period is over, and again, this is subject to cultural variations, but whenever it is that that your culture decides to put an end to the mourning period, you go back to life as normal. Life goes back to normal. If you are into music, you're a music buff, you go back to your music. If you are into other forms of haram entertainment, you go back to those haram preoccupations. Basically, life returns back to normal. And there is nothing more that's to be done, because having mourned Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, having shed your tears and done the matam, and having expressed your grief at his martyrdom in myriad ways and through various cultural manifestations, many of which are even questionable and problematic from the point of view of the teachings of Imam Hussein alayhi salam himself. But khair, that's a side point. The important thing is that when the end of the mourning period is reached, after 2 months and 8 days, this kind of Shia thinks, maine haq ada kar diya. I have done what's required of me. I have mission accomplished, basically. And in a way, if this is going to be your understanding of Shi'ism, then yes, it is certainly mission accomplished, because you reduce the mission of Imam Hussein alayhi salam to shedding tears and matam and various other cultural forms and manifestations of grief, and so you express those during this prescribed period. And so basically, all you can do now is pat yourself on the back on a mission well accomplished, and then go about with life as if life goes back to normal, and you go about your life as if nothing happened. It was just an unfortunate tragedy, an accident that was not supposed to happen, but it somehow happened. We cried and we shed tears. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un, and khalas. That's it. What more do you want? This is the mindset of the traditional Shia who subscribes to the black Shi'ism, to the inherited baggage of Safavid Shi'ism. But as far as the activist Shia is concerned, as far as the Islahi Shia is concerned. His understanding or her understanding proceeds from an appreciation, a deep appreciation of the mission statement of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, of the causes behind his revolution, of the aims and objectives that he sought to achieve. And since the enlightened activist Shia is familiar with these goals and objectives, he knows, he has read the speeches of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his letters. So he knows Imam alayhi salam set out from Medina. He left the beloved city of his grandfather. He proceeded to Mecca, from Mecca to towards Kufa, and then to Karbala, not so that people should remember him merely with mourning and shed tears over him. Our historical Imam Hussein alayhi salam doesn't say, إِنَّمَا خَرَجْتُ لِيَبْكِيَنِ النَّاسِ, I am leaving the city of the grandfather, of my beloved grandfather, so that people should weep for me until the day of judgment, that I was unjustly removed and forced to leave the city of my grandfather. I'm not leaving because I am thirsty for the tears of this ummah. I'm leaving for something much more profound, much more deep, and much more far-reaching than merely having people cry over me and express grief in myriad ways over me. No. إنما خرجت لطلب الإصلاح في أمة جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. I am setting out, and I have set out in order to seek Islah, to seek reformation, to seek rectitude, to bring about course correction within the ummah of my beloved grandfather, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. أريد أن آمر بالمعروف وأنهى عن المنكر وأسير بسيرة جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وسيرة أبي أمير المؤمنين علي عليه السلام. I want to enjoin the good and forbid the evil. So these are the tools with which Imam Hussein alayhi salam wanted to achieve the Islah. The Islah comes through these two tools, Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam's entire movement revolves around Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar. And Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar is the legacy that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam leaves behind for all those who are willing to pick up the baton, who are willing to pick up the torch and carry it forward into the future. So in that sense, if you are that kind of Shia, the activist, revolutionary kind of Shia, who believes Imam Hussein alayhi salam's mission is eternal, it is something that's supposed to last until the day of judgment, it has to be carried on by people, and it has to be revived in every day and in every age, in every context, then Arbaeen cannot be the end. The 2-month and 8 days mourning period cannot be the end. Rather, it can only be the stepping stone. It can only be the beginning. Your real Karbala begins now. Because now you have to derive inspiration from the struggle of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam against the oppressive and evil forces of his time. You derive inspiration from that to fight, first of all, your own inner demons, to fight your own shaitan, and then also to fight against the external agents of shaitan and their network of deviation that they have spread. And so what that means at the practical level, when it comes to, for example, the school of Ahlul Bayt, as far as the 12-er Imami sub-school is concerned, for example, if you are a 12-er, traditional 12-er Imami, but you want to embrace the mission and legacy of Imam Hussein alayhi salam into your own life, and you're wondering, practically speaking, what am I supposed to do now that Arbaeen is over, now that the 2-month and 8-day mourning period is going to be over soon? What do I do beyond this? If you forget Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his mission, and you turn your back on him and his mission, after this mourning period, well, that makes you a follower of black Shi'ism, the Safavid Shi'ism. That was their understanding of Shi'ism. But if you want to be the activist kind of Shia, then you need to understand that no, the mission of Imam Hussein alayhi salam has to continue in my life. And so the Islah that he wanted to bring about, I need to study my situation and my context today and ask myself, today in the Ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where is Islah needed? So of course, you first need to look at yourself in the mirror, because charity begins at home. If your own home is in a mess, and if your own home is burning, and there's a raging fire consuming it, there is no point going out and inviting anyone and doing da'wah and inviting people to a burning home. You first have to set your own house in order. And as far as the traditional understanding of 12 Imami Shi'ism is concerned, the highest level traditional scholarship, underline the traditional, I'm not talking about reformist and revivalist, no, the highest level traditional scholarship has admitted, it has confessed and acknowledged that there have been massive departures away from the teachings, the original teachings of the Quran and the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salatu wassalam. And this is what brings us to the statement of Al-Allama al-Sheikh Abdullah al-Mamqani, which we have repeatedly presented and which we keep on reminding our people about. Ayatollah al-Sheikh Abdullah al-Mamqani is the teacher of Ayatollah al-Sayyid Shihabuddin al-Mar'ashi al-Najafi. He is one of the greatest traditional scholars of Rijal from Najaf. And in his 39-volume encyclopedia of Ilm al-Rijal, he repeatedly reminds us of this reality. This is on page 305 of volume 2 of this encyclopedia. He says, وَأَنَّ أَكْثَرَ مَا يُعَدُّ الْيَوْمَ مِنْ ضَرُورِيَّاتِ الْمَذْهَبِ فِي أَوْصَافِ الْأَئِمَّةِ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّلَامِ كَانَ الْقَوْلُ بِهِ مَعْدُودًا فِي الْعَهْدِ السَّابِقِ مِنَ الْغُلُوِّ. He says, majority of what is considered to be today to be the foundational, non-negotiable, fundamental beliefs of the 12 Imami sect with regard to the qualities and descriptions of the Imams alayhimus salam. Yani, whether they are divinely appointed or not, whether they are infallible or not, whether they have ilmul ghaib or not, whether they have al-wilayat takwiniya and control over the affairs of the universe or not. These are all qualities and attributes of the Imams alayhimus salam, and beliefs in this regard, such as beliefs that they have ilmul ghaib, belief that they have wilayat takwiniya and control over the universe, belief that they are infallible, belief that they are divinely appointed, belief that necessity of believing in them is a requirement of salvation and part of the usuluddin. All of these things which are considered to be among the daruriyat al-madhhab, كان القول به معدودا في العهد السابق من الغلو. Affirming these beliefs in the past used to be considered ghulu, yani closer to the time of the Imams alayhimus salam, in the 5th century, 4th century, 3rd century, and even in the 1st and 2nd centuries during the time of the Imams alayhimus salam. These kinds of beliefs and claims about the Imams used to be considered ghulu by the Imams. Yes, they used to be considered ghulu by the Imams. He goes on to say, وَذَلِكَ نَشَأَ مِنْ أَئِمَّتِنَا عَلَيْهِمُ السَّلَامِ. He says, labeling these beliefs and claims as ghulu actually emanates and stems from our A'imma alayhimu salam. They are the ones who referred to today's fundamental beliefs as ghulu. Yani today what the sect considers to be the fundamental Imami belief and the core non-negotiable Imami belief, in the past, the A'imma alayhimu salam used to consider these beliefs to be ghulu. And if you've been following the Al-Islah broadcasts, you would have seen the evidence has been showcased in front of you. How the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam considered everything from attributing divinity to them to be a form of ghulu, similarly attributing prophethood to them, In the same way, the whole attribution of the divine imama package, which is divine appointment, infallibility, attributing ilmul ghaib to them, al-wilayat takwiniya, believing that they have control over the affairs of the entire universe. All of these things in the time of the Imams alayhimussalam were considered to be ghulu by the Imams themselves and by their closest and most trustworthy companions. And even up to the classical period, you find a number of these beliefs were rejected and shunned by the top level scholars, such as Shaykh al-Saduq and Shaykh al-Mufid and Shaykh al-Tusi and others, Sayyid al-Murtada and others. So, but with the passage of time and with changing socio-political circumstances, these beliefs crept into the madhab and they became so popular and they became so mainstream that today they have become among the daruriyat of the madhab. They have become among the non-negotiable, essential, fundamental, principal beliefs of the 12-bar Imami sect, such that if someone were to reject them, they would probably be excommunicated from the sect, or they would be regarded as deviant and alternative thinkers. So basically, the whole system of the school of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam has gone upside down. Head has become tail, tail has become head. What was considered to be ghulu in the time of the Imams alayhimus salam and the period following that, today it is considered to be the correct Shi'ism. It's considered to be correct Shia belief. And what used to be considered correct Shia belief in the time of the Imams, today it is considered to be outright deviation, such that if you were to espouse and promote such beliefs or affirm such beliefs, you could very well be excommunicated from the 12-bar Imami community. So this is the kind of paradigm shift and the sea change that the sect has witnessed in the 12 centuries that separate today's Shia community from the Imams. In these 12 centuries, this is what Shaitan and his agents have achieved, is that they have turned the whole system upside down. And so this just goes to highlight the magnitude of deviation and the necessity and the level of reform that is needed to realign the system and to realign the school back to what it used to be during the times of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salatu wassalam. So you can see the warning has been issued, and this warning by Sheikh Abdullah al-Mamqani is repeated throughout his 39-volume encyclopedia. In fact, it is repeated more than 20 times, as Ayatollah Sheikh Dr. Muhsin Kadiwar has pointed out in his book Al-Qira'ah al-Mansiyah, which I hope you can see over here. Al-Qira'ah al-Mansiyah by Dr. Muhsin Kadiwar. Here he points out that وَقَدْ كَرَّرَ الْمَمْقَانِ on page 24 of this book. This is the book on forgotten Shi'ism, Al-Qira'ah al-Mansiyah, the forgotten reading of Shi'ism. On page 24, he says, وَقَدْ كَرَّرَ الْمَمْقَانِ اسْتِنَادَهُ إلى هذه القاعدة بشأن المتهمين بالغلو في 20 موردا على الأقل في كتابه الرجالي. He says Ayatollah Mamqani has repeated this warning and this observation 20 times, at least 20 times in his Rijali encyclopedia. And then he goes on to give those references. You can go and check. Those of you who have access to this encyclopedia, you can check. Volume 1, page 69, Volume 1, page 226 to 225 to 226, Volume 1, page 226, Volume 1, page 331, Volume 1, page 349, and basically it goes all the way up to Volume 3, page 268. These are the narrators in whose entries you will find him issuing this warning. So in light of this, it becomes clear how important it is to reform the belief system, first of all. And then after that, it is equally important to evaluate and assess the jurisprudential system, the fiqh system. There's a lot of big fiqh. By big fiqh, we mean fiqh that is essentially man-made fiqh, or fiqh that is made based on man-made ijtihadat, for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed no sultan. And so man-made ijtihadat and man-made rules in fiqh are not problematic in and of themselves, so long as everyone knows that they're man-made and that they are time-bound and that they are specific to their contexts. The problem becomes when man-made ijtihadat, when fallible scholarly ijtihadat are given the status of divine law, of hukum shar'i, of the hukum of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they are universalized beyond their immediate context. They are considered to be something that is supposed to define behavior across the boundaries of time and place. That's when it becomes big fiqh, that's when it becomes problematic, that's when it results in all sorts of disasters and complications and unnecessary problems for people. So big fiqh is definitely an area of reform, and alhamdulillah, we have started our series of lectures looking at big fiqh. Other than that, the area of ritual practice is also an area where a lot of corruptions and degenerations have been observed. And so this is also another area that needs sincere reform and revival and realignment. So if we are truly serious and sincere in our commitment to Imam Abu Abdullah al-Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salam, and we are sincerely committed to keeping his mission and legacy alive, then we cannot afford to wash our hands and turn our backs on Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam and his mission of Islah once the prescribed traditional cultural mourning period is over. Rather, the actual test begins now, is that the rest of the year until the next Muharram, we have to keep on working hard in order to purge, firstly, our belief system of all of the ghasia that's been added into it. And then after the belief system, we have to purge the fiqh of stuff that has been added and that is being sold to people as if it's the law of Allah, when in reality it's just a fallible human opinion, which is sometimes based on weak, unreliable, and even fabricated reports in the corpus. And at the same time, we also need to have a serious discussion and serious introspection as far as the rituals are concerned. Whether these rituals that are being performed, are they relevant to the mission of Imam Hussein alayhi salam? Are they conducive? Are they facilitating the propagation of the mission of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, or are they counterproductive? And in each context, in every time and place, every place is a different context. Which rituals we should be holding on to, which ones we should be giving up on and replacing with more relevant expressions and modes and formats. So this is also a serious internal discussion that needs to be had. And in all of this, we seek help and tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we also ask you, our community members, to join us and to support us in this effort and in this initiative to continue carrying the flag of Islah for ourselves and also for the rest of our fellow Muslims in the Ummah, with the tawfiq and with the help and guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.